Hi and welcome back, or welcome to Virtual Done Well if this is your first time with us. What I'd like to talk about this week is probably the most precious resource that all business owners and entrepreneurs have, and that is time. And let me tell you how I have wasted time and how I get that time back now. Coming right up. Okay, so as a small business owner and entrepreneur, time is your most valuable asset. Now, I'm assuming you're not a startup. I'm assuming that you actually have quite a successful business and you have some great clients, but there's a couple of things that I really just need to give you some tips on if you haven't already grasped them. One is time management. The other I was going to talk about was cash flow management. We might talk about that another time. But this week, I just want to talk about time because we just don't have enough. So when I started my own business, or 22 years ago now, I was working ridiculous hours, and I hope you're not. But I mean, I was working 80, 100 hours a week. I was trying to deliver services to customers. I was doing the marketing and the sales. I was doing the books. I was doing admin at the weekends. I mean, I just had no time at all. Crazy working hours, not enough with time and family, and relationships unfortunately suffered very badly. But we won't go there. Okay, so what can we do about that? Well, first of all, think about how you're actually using your time currently. And, you know, let me give you some rough rules of thumb that I've found have worked really well for me. So delivering services to your clients is probably the most important thing. And I'm assuming that you're in a kind of service business, that you're not selling products. So delivering services to your clients, generally as the business owner, particularly in the early years, it's going to be you and your senior staff doing that. That's the most important thing that you've got to do, because some of the best business is going to come from your existing clients. So you've got to have lots and lots of repeat business. That means you've got to do really great services for them. Goes without saying. So never ever neglect your existing clients. They're your greatest source of future work. But of course the challenge is, whilst you're servicing those clients, you're not looking for the next clients. So a trap that a lot of people fall into is that they are totally absorbed with looking after current clients and they're not looking for the next ones. So there's very little sales and marketing activity going, and then you get this sort of peak and trough effect. And it's very hard to manage when you're on your own, particularly in the early years. So what do? Well, you've got to force yourself to spend more time on that. And I would say probably about 40% of your time should be spent on sales and marketing. So let's, the marketing, we're not going to get into that on this video, but you've certainly got to be on the right social media platforms. So depending on your business and your customers and where they hang out, that's going to be different. For me, it's very much on LinkedIn. I've never had a lot of success with Facebook, to be honest. Our clients are big corporates and we just don't seem to get the cut through there on Facebook. If you've got some tips, I'd love to hear from you. But predominantly we focus on LinkedIn and on YouTube. They're very effective for us. So depending on your market, you might be on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, all those other social media platforms which are particularly good. So you've got to be doing your marketing, you've got to be doing all kinds of marketing. And one of the things I'll probably talk about in a later video, but just don't be posting stuff and have a great website. You've got to capture leads. So we might do a whole video on lead magnets. So don't just let people visit your website, entice them with little things that they want to download in exchange for their contact details. And that's how you build a great mailing list. And then you can start doing email bulletins and so on. So don't just be displaying stuff, displaying material. Encourage people to opt in and download things as well. Just don't do it all the time. So marketing, you've got to be doing lots. Sales, you've got to be doing lots. Now, depending on your business and how you do it, in my business, my main business is management consulting, so it's a lot of face-to-face. It's very time-consuming, so I have to allow a lot of time to do that. But what I do is that, particularly with new clients, I'll try to qualify as many as possible over the phone first. Now, I'm a member of a couple of consulting groups on Facebook, and it's interesting, I think those groups tend to be more coaches than consultants, but a lot of their services are delivered over the phone and online, and I wish I would be able to do that, but ours is very much a traditional consulting firm, so there's a lot of face-to-face time. So The best I can do is to qualify them as much as possible on the phone, but ultimately then it means taking time out face to face, which could mean, you know, an hour's drive, an hour's meeting, an hour back. So I'm very careful about who I go to visit. So you've got to have that time for sales and marketing. I try to allocate about 40% of my time for that. You've then got to be out, you know, doing your networking as well. I guess that's part of networking, part of marketing. Sometimes when you're busy, that falls off, but you've got to be going to industry events, meeting new people. You've got to be going along to training events for yourself. I've always done that, to be honest. I probably spend at least 10 days a year training for myself, learning new techniques about service delivery and marketing particularly, new technologies, so you've got to keep yourself up to date. All of that takes time. That probably leaves you about 50% then for looking after your clients and service delivery. So this is a little bit of a glass ceiling, isn't it? It's really hard because you've only got so many hours in the week, and when you're doing all of this, your working hours just seem to get longer and longer and longer, and then health and relationships and all the rest of it suffer. So why am I talking about this? Because the biggest thing I think that business owners and entrepreneurs in that position can do is to take on support. Now, very often we can't afford local support in our hometown, home country, because maybe we're a small business, you know, the cash flow just isn't there, the profitability isn't there, and we try to take on too much. And that's really where the whole idea, the whole concept of virtual assistants come in. And you're watching a channel about virtual assistants, so that's what I want to talk about for a moment. To be honest, for the first 10 years of my own business career, running my own businesses, I'm not sure that virtual assistants were around. I certainly wasn't aware of them, and I was just killing myself with crazy working hours. I started to become aware of it about 10 years ago, and then jumped on board about 9 years ago, and within, you know, a couple of months, brilliant. It was a lifesaver for me, to be honest. And in fact, I've kind of kept that under wraps for the last 8-9 years because to be honest, I didn't want my competitors to know how I was able to do so much and be doing so much on social media and to be kind of everywhere doing all this kind of stuff. That was my secret. I have quite a large team of virtual assistants behind me, helping me. And so actually I'm going to be talking about all of that at an event in Sydney in November, on November 26th. I'll put a link to it below, but the purpose of this video is not to promote that, but really just to, I guess, try and convince you that if you are killing yourself with ridiculous working hours, please, please, please do consider a virtual assistant. There are loads of videos on this channel. You can do it yourself. You know, I've actually got a series of 8 videos on this channel which tell you about, you know, what is a virtual assistant and where you can find them and how to hire them. So I'm not pushing hours at you. You know, there's enough information on this channel for you to learn about utilizing virtual assistants and to go off and find some and do that all yourself. I would just, you know, I really want to plead with you that if you were in the position that I was 10 years ago, where, you know, life is just not fun anymore because you're working so hard, do have a look at virtual assistants. A friend of mine has her own business, been going down for a couple of years, and she was very hesitant about it. And she kind of, over lunch one day, I explained what the concept was. She didn't actually know a lot about virtual assistants. I said, look, why don't you just try one? And in fact, I was talking to her earlier today. I said, oh, how's it going? She said, oh, fantastic. She said, great. Her virtual assistant is called Rosedon, and Rosedon, she said, is brilliant. She's you know, coming up to speed really quickly and learning everything really fast and just taking a load off my plate already. So I'd really encourage you, if you're struggling a little bit, you know, with lack of time, to try it. You have nothing to lose, really. Just try it, because if you haven't, gee, you're missing out. People often ask me, you know, how much time would I expect to get back using a virtual assistant? Well, look, to be honest, in the first couple of weeks, you're going to have to spend a little bit of time coaching them and showing them what to do. And I think I've got other videos on the channel showing you how to do all that. But look, if you have a good virtual assistant, I would absolutely guarantee that you'll get 10 hours a week back. You might even get 20 hours a week back. I mean, how good would that be? What would you do with an extra 10 or 20 hours a week? You don't necessarily do what I do, start another business. I'm my own worst enemy. But you know, for you it might be, oh, I'm going to spend more time with family, I'm going to spend more time with, with my partner, whatever that might be. That's probably a good thing to do. Don't follow my example and just start new businesses. But that's the kind of benefit that you can get, just getting that time back, and also having resources to do all the stuff that you never even got to do. So a little bit of a thought provoker there. How to use your time best in your business. And as a fellow entrepreneur, I know the struggle, and it can seem overwhelming at times, but try a virtual assistant. I would virtually guarantee, I'm not going to guarantee, because someone will jump on the bottom and say, on the comments and say, oh, my business, VA is not going to work. So there's always an exception, but in 99% of cases, a virtual assistant will help you enormously, and you'll get at least 10 hours a week back. So I wish you luck in your business. Hope you're not too stressed and enjoying your business, because that's the main thing. Now, you know how this channel works. If you enjoy these videos, do like, do comment. I try to reply to all the comments myself. Do share if you have friends and colleagues who you think might benefit from this information. And we have new videos coming out every Wednesday. Now, if you haven't looked around the channel, please do, because very interesting, about a month ago, I asked some of our virtual assistants, said, hey, I'm doing this weekly video all the time and people are going to get bored looking at me. So why don't you start doing them? And they are doing some really cool videos. So you'll see some of our virtual assistants doing their own videos. And I have to say, I have no input whatsoever. They're producing one next week. I'm not even sure what it's about. They're going through a series of, this is how we do our work, how we do our different tasks and things. So you kind of look over the shoulder and see what VAs are like and the sort of work that they do. So yeah, I kind of have no editorial power at all over that. They pick a topic and they shoot it and they say, oh, we'll put one up this week and we're going to do this topic. And they're producing some really cool stuff. Sorry, I'm rambling. The end of the video. End of the video for this week. Thank you very much for joining us again. If it's your first time on the channel, welcome. Do have a look around this channel. There's heaps and heaps of stuff all about utilizing virtual assistants and other things that I'm sure you'll find useful. And I look forward to seeing you next week. See you then.